Do the unilateral imposition of trade tariffs by Trump on Liberation Day and after go against the rules-based order of international trade and economy under the WTO? If yes, what penalties may be imposed on the USA?
Yes, the unilateral imposition of trade tariffs by President Trump, such as those on steel and aluminum in 2018, and the wider tariffs on Chinese goods, does run counter to the principles of the rules-based international trading order overseen by the World Trade Organization, WTO. This is especially the case if those tariffs are imposed without following the WTO's dispute resolution mechanisms or without a valid exemption under WTO rules. Breach of WTO principles. The WTO system is grounded in non-discrimination, predictability, and reciprocity. Members agree not to impose tariffs above a certain bound rate, a commitment under the Most Favored Nation clause, and they agree to resolve disputes through the WTO's dispute settlement body, DSB, not through unilateral action. Trump's tariffs, especially those justified under national security grounds, Articles NT1s of the GATT, are controversial because they are seen as abusing a rarely used clause that was historically intended for wartime scenarios. The USA argued that national security exemptions allowed it to act unilaterally, but many countries and experts viewed this as a pretext for protectionism, which undermines the credibility of the rules-based system. WTO rulings and penalties. The WTO has ruled against the US in several cases related to these tariffs. For example, in 2022, a WTO panel found that the national security justification for the steel and aluminum tariffs was invalid, stating that the situation did not constitute a genuine national security threat. The U.S. rejected this ruling, stating that the WTO has no authority to judge matters of national security, a position that itself undermines the WTO's authority. As for penalties, the WTO cannot force a country to remove tariffs. Instead, it authorizes retaliatory measures. Affected countries can request permission to impose counter tariffs on U.S. goods of equivalent value to the damage caused by the illegal tariffs. The EU, China, Canada, and others did exactly this, targeting American exports like motorcycles, bourbon, and soybeans. Broader implications. The U.S.'s actions under Trump, especially when timed for symbolic impact, such as on Liberation Day, e.g., the 75th anniversary of World War II events, were seen not only as economically disruptive, but also as politically provocative. They weakened multilateral trust, emboldened other nations to bypass WTO rules, and contributed to a breakdown in the WTO appellate body, which the U.S. later paralyzed by blocking the appointment of new judges. In summary, yes, Trump's unilateral tariffs violated the spirit and letter of WTO rules. The WTO can't punish the U.S. directly, but can permit other countries to retaliate. The broader damage, however, lies in the weakening of the global rules-based system, as the world's largest economy signaled its willingness to bypass multilateralism when it sees fit.
forget to hit that subscribe button to show your support.